Welcome to Wholesale Hotties, the place where ladies in real estate are talking about real estate. I'm your host and MC, Sharon Lee Smith. I'm here with my co-host, Donda Mullinex. Hey, Donda. And today's special guest, we have Wendy Sweet, owner of Carolina Capital, here today to talk to us about hard money lending. Hey, Wendy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Me too. I'm so glad to have you on. So let's start with you. Tell us like who you are, where you're from, how you got started in real estate in general, and then we'll go from there.
Oh gosh, what a loaded question. Well, I was born. No. How did I get started in real estate? Back in the, 2001. I had decided. I was pregnant, 40 years old, giving birth to my first child, and I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. Gave up my career in the golf industry as a marketing director for several golf clubs, and I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And after 3 months of wanting to rip my hair out, loved my baby, and I love being a mommy, but I just could not stay home. It takes a very strong person to be able to do that, stay home.
Yes, ma'am.
I highly respect people who get to be stay-at-home moms for sure. So I actually started working for my brother, who's also my partner at Carolina Hard Money and Carolina Capital. He had a net branch. I don't know if you know what that is, but it is a type of a wholesale mortgage company. Their specialty was investor loans. That was their specialty. And my job was to go and call on different mortgage companies all over North and South Carolina to try to get them to send their investor loans, non-owner occupied loans, to our wholesale company. Okay. And I loved it. I thought it was great. So after a couple of months, I had been calling on this one company in Lake Wiley, South Carolina. And I had heard that there was a group called Metrolina RIA, the Real Estate Investor Association. And I walked into this office that somebody had called on twice. This was the second time I talked to him. His name was Larry. And I said to him, I heard that there's a group here in Charlotte that meets with just investors. I know that if I can get my foot in the door, I can get all those people to send loans to your company, so you can send them all to me. I said, do you know anything about it? And the guy is Larry Goins. I'm sure you know who he is, or you may know who he is. Larry Goins is a name speaker. Yep. Yeah, he's a big guy in the business. And he said, well, I just happen to be the president. I said, well, isn't that convenient? Wow. So I actually left my brother's company and I went to work for Larry as his mortgage broker. Okay. So the first time going to this meeting, I picked up 18 loans, and he fired his other 4 mortgage brokers that he had working with him. So we just started it was like shooting fish in a barrel, doing nothing but investor loans because, let's face it, most of us mortgage brokers are lazy and we want to low-hanging fruit. But I knew it. So investor loans were the tough ones, had all the red tape that, it's tough to do investor loans. There's a lot more you have to underwrite. So I knew how to do that, and it was easy for me. Well, while I was underwriting, I realized that, there were people that were really good at finding houses, but they didn't have a whole lot of money in the bank. And then there were other people that aren't very good at finding houses, but they have self-directed IRA money and all kinds of cash in the bank that was just sitting there doing nothing. So I started lending the money that people had to the people that didn't have any money. And I didn't even realize at the time it was called hard money, that there was such a thing. I just started brokering that myself. And so with
accidental hard money lender.
Then I realized, this is a thing.
So funny.
It's real. So I really started with like zero money in my pocket. I just used other people's money. but I knew how to underwrite it because underwriting non-owner occupied properties was my specialty, right? And within 7 years, I had $23 million of other people's self-directed IRA and money in the bank and mattress money that I was lending out to other people. I was brokering that much. Within 7 years. And it was, I'd go to a meeting and it was so easy. I had a t-shirt that said got money, with the question, like got milk, but it said got money. And my goal was twofold: to find people who needed to borrow the money.
Yeah.
And then my other one was to find people who had money to lend. And they'd let me have my, 15 seconds of fame up at the front, talk a little bit about my company. And I'd always end it with, if you have a self-directed IRA and you aren't making at least 15% on your money, you need to come see me. And it was like the Pied Piper, they were all following me back to my table. Now, at that time, we were charging 5 points and 15% interest. So I was paying them the 15%. Oh, it was, that's what the hard money was back then. It was, It was very high dollar. So that's really how I got started in the business. And that's how I raised all the money. It just was so, I hate to say it, but it kind of fell into my lap and I was ready to catch it. That was the key. I had an incredible blessing of being able to go to every single RIA group in North and South Carolina every month. So there were probably 9 that I attended every month, and I'd drive down there, turn around and come back every night. It was a lot of travel, but I also got the opportunity to listen to every single one of those speakers that were coming in to train. Yeah. So all the big names that were coming in, and that's back when you were going to a RIA meeting, they were selling stuff, everybody had a product. So I got to listen to all the things that people were doing. And, they say that if you just listen to it one time, you train what? 20% of it you're going to retain. Well, I'm traveling the circuit. So all these, I'd have the same speaker every month. So I'm listening to them 9 times.
Right.
I'm going to pick up a lot. Yeah. So I got a great opportunity to just get like a major college education going to RIAs.
Right.
Just instant slam bang. There you go. Every kind of real estate that you could possibly do. And I was able to learn it so quickly because I was so immersed in going to those meetings.
Yes.
And the other thing too is you can't help but meet a bazillion people, by going to all these different people, these different meetings. The other thing that was really cool is I got an opportunity to know the markets in both states really well because I was so immersed in every single market. Plus, I have my real estate license and my broker's license in both North and South Carolina. So I could pull MLS and get comps for properties. And so it just made it really easy for me to underwrite all that hard money stuff. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. I love it. That's so funny you say all that. Like, that's how I grew my wholesale business so quickly here in Virginia. And that, like, because the single woman, I don't have a family or obligation around me. I spend my social life going to real estate meetup groups. And between Richmond and the Virginia Beach area, and even up to Fredericksburg and DC, if I really just buckle down, I could be at 27 meetup groups a month.
Yeah.
Like every night there's something, and you can just network and network and network, and you build those relationships when you're going month after month after month. And that's so, so powerful. It's so awesome to know, like, you grew your business the same way. It
was really cool. And you mentioned being single, you were able to do that. Well, remember, I had just had a kid at the age of 40, my first child.
That's insane. You're crazy.
And then 3 years later, I adopted 2 more children.
Yep.
Wow. That were 2 and 3. So I overnight had 3 kids under the age of 4. And so if I have an awesome husband who agreed to stay home and take care of the kids. If he hadn't have done that, there's no way I could have pulled it off.
Yep.
No way. And I will tell you this, I really regret missing so much of them growing up. I mean, it's been a struggle. I'm thrilled about my success, but boy, I missed a lot of them growing up. But at least, you know, their dad got to see it and send me pictures and make me feel bad about it.
That's good.
But all 3 of my kids are into real estate. They love it. I was just commenting recently that I think it was over Christmas. My kids are now, they're 20, how old are they? 22, 23, and 24. And my 2 boys, they're 22 and 24, were standing in the kitchen arguing about what you can and cannot do with a self-directed IRA. I was like, oh, this is
warms your heart. Like, oh, I taught them well.
They did get something from me. I loved it. I just loved it. But they love it. In fact, my youngest son works for me full time. He's my project manager. I just bought like 2 lots that have dilapidated mobile homes on them. So we're tearing them down. And I just bought 2 mobile homes to put on them. So he oversees all that. I'm renovating a house on the lake. What else am I working on? One more. I've got another property that I'm renovating, a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and he oversees all of that for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is really, really cool. My oldest son hunts down properties for me. So he has a job in security and he works at night. So he's on the computer all the time, hunting properties for me. So hunting land, actually. He looks for land because I like the mobile homes on land stuff.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed this, Wendy, but are you still lending too?
Oh, yeah. That's like my real bread and butter. That's what pays the bills. I am every day. And I say every day, but I have an incredible team that works with me. We had our quarterly meeting today, as a matter of fact. And I could disappear for a month and they wouldn't care. They're so tuned in to what's going on, and you know they each own their own island. They love what they do. They're good at what they do. They're there to help. We've got a great culture in our business. We do a Bible study every Wednesday morning. We treat each other like family. It's just. So I'm so blessed to have what we've got.
That brings up like a whole ton of questions for me. Talk to us about growing a team like that. So tell us the progression of that. How did you start with your hires? How did you interview? How did you get that culture? Like now I really need to know all the details. Give me the details.
Well, there's one rule you need to remember is you will kiss a lot of frogs.
Kind of like dating, huh?
Yeah. Almost as bad. Not quite, but almost as bad. It's you know, now that I can look back, I can see what I should have done sooner. Number one is I think a lot of people are really afraid to bring on like that first assistant kind of person.
Yeah.
Because you think, man, I cannot afford to pay somebody.
Right.
I'm barely making it as it is. I have no time to finish what I'm doing. How am I going to be able to take what little bit I am making and pay somebody else? And
train them.
Yeah. And so
exactly.
Training can be a lot easier now that we've got videos and we can do SOPs on video. You just take what you're doing in the day and do the SOP on Vidyard. If you don't know Vidyard, you need to learn it. And it's very easy. I mean, it's even like turn the computer on here. Your files are kept here. It's very simple to do. And you can do it once and then whoever comes in, take that position. You're not repeating yourself. And that's a great way to train VAs. The better you train a VA, a virtual assistant, the better they're going to be. They're only going to be as good as you train them to be. It's not them, it's us. You know, that the problem is. But when you're thinking about paying somebody, how are you going to do that? Well, what are you going to pay somebody as an assistant? You know, gosh, are you going to pay them $10 an hour, $20 an hour? Okay, let's look at it salary-wise, $30,000 a year. how can I come up with 30,000 a year? So that's the wrong way to look at it. The way to look at it is, what am I going to pay out over the next 3 months? 3 months.
Yeah.
In 3 months, they should be paying for themselves.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't take you 3 months to realize that's not the right person.
Yeah.
And
that phrase, hire fast, fire faster.
yes. Actually, hire slow, fire quickly. I can tell you that we interview a lot of people to get to, and we interview them 3 or 4 times. We do a phone interview first. Well, they have to look on paper. We do a phone interview first. Then we do a Zoom one-on-one. Then I'll do a Zoom with the team. And the whole point is to get to know their personality. And somebody else is going to ask them a question that might throw them off. And you'll be able to really get to know them a little bit better. So it really, at this point, with the group of people that we have now, they have to get along with everybody. So it's really important for everyone else to be in on it, in on the hiring. And when we interview people after we get off, we really sit down and have a conversation. Okay, what did you like about them? What didn't you like about them? And we really discuss how that person's going to fit in down the road, not just now. How is that person going to fit in down the road? So it starts out of, thinking it's really not going to cost you what you think it's going to cost. And at the end of 3 months, if they're not paying for themselves, then you're probably not ready to hire somebody.
Yeah.
But the biggest mistake I think we all make is that we put it off for so long. We're not allowing ourselves to scale. When you're all in the weeds, you can't even mess with the bigger picture.
Yeah.
True.
Because you're so hung up on all the little stuff and
drowning. Like my time is occupied.
It is. But sometimes 80% is good enough.
Yeah.
Because nobody can do it as good as you. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. You know how to do it. Nobody can do it as good as me. Right. Nobody can do my job or what the things I'm doing as good as me. Right. Sometimes 80% has to be good enough.
Right.
And if I don't let go of stuff and allow somebody else to shine, then I'm hurting them too.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's important to find out what these people's gifts are and let them have them. Let them use them. So that's the hardest thing is getting that first hire going. But once you start in on that, then it'll fall into place. It'll really fall into place. So you got to sit down and think, okay, what can I peel off my plate? What do I have that somebody else could probably do?
Yeah.
Even
That's
if it's little tiny things, even if it's, pick up my dry cleaning, that, sometimes all you need is an assistant to do everything at home.
True. Very true. I love that. Hey, I wanted to step back a little bit when we're talking about hard money loans. Maybe somebody watching right now doesn't even know what that means. How does that vary from traditional? That typically, maybe explain a little bit hard money versus what people are typically used to.
Okay, sure. So I think everybody knows what regular mortgage loans are like. You can go to the bank and get a loan, or go to a mortgage broker and get a loan. So hard money is everybody says, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. Yes, it is. But it serves a purpose. It's a short-term, high-interest loan that allows a person to purchase a property and get the money to rehab it based on what the after-repaired value of the house will be. So typically, the formula that we use is 70% of the after-repaired value is what we're going to use. So if you've got a $200,000 house, that's what it's going to be fixed up, but it's going to be worth fixed up. You can borrow up to $140,000 on that. So how do you figure out what you should pay for the house? Well, the first thing is how much is it going to cost to fix it up? And wholesalers really need to know this, right?
Yes, they do, Wendy. Yes, they do.
Really need to know this formula. because your formula is even tighter than what a rehabber's formula is going to be, because your profit's going to be in that leftover margin. So let's say we've got the 140,000 on this 200,000 after repaired value. So let's say it needs 40,000 in work. Well, now you know that you can't, as an investor, you're not supposed to pay more than $100,000 for this house for it to fit into that $140,000 price range that you can borrow on it, right?
Right.
Well, if you're a wholesaler, that means you need to be getting it for 90 or 85
Or
or whatever you can do. You know, how much do you want to make? Do you want to make $2,000? You want to make $15,000? So it's got to be a deal. That formula is tried and true, and it has been around for the entire 25 years I've been in business doing this. It has not changed. The only thing that's changed are the people who move off of it and get caught. Like 2022 and 2023 surprised a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, because the market was correcting their mistakes. Because housing was going up so quickly. And then all of a sudden, overnight, woo, it all stopped. And there's a lot of people, as trying to think of who is it? Thought it was Warren Buffett that said you can always tell who the iffy people are who's naked when the tide goes out.
sounds like a Warren Buffett saying.
Yeah. So if they're not really taking care of what they're doing, you know, you're going to get caught in a bad way. So you got to stick with the formula. It's tried and true. And what's really cool is that formula also holds true in the commercial world.
Ah.
Yeah.
It also holds true in the commercial world. 2 to 5 units, 20 units, multi-tenanted office buildings. You got to think the value is not necessarily done with all these comps that you're seeing like you do with a house. The value is really based on what income are you going to get off of it.
Right. It's
What's that income going to be?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still the same. The lenders are still going to look at it the same. Like when we're lending on commercial property, we actually lend a lower LTV. We're more in the 60 to 65%, which is what we're going to lend on that. But everything's based off of the income, not necessarily where it is. Yeah. Where a house has to be pretty and in the right neighborhood, and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. So are you guys you lending on fix and flips, new builds, buy and holds? Do you guys do buy and holds as well?
Yes.
What's your favorite to lend on, Wendy?
New construction.
Why?
Yeah, because it's just easy. It's so easy. It's, you've got plans, they've got permits. It's so easy to release the money. You can see what's been done, what hasn't been done. Most people who are building new construction have been in the business for a little while, so they're not brand spanking new. They also tend to have more money in the bank, which I really like, because if an oops comes, wait a minute, did I say if? When an oops comes,
Right.
they have the money to take care of what may have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Correct.
But it's and right now new construction is selling like hotcakes in just about every market. New construction sells a whole lot quicker. It's really interesting right now what's selling and how quickly it is. Like in the Charlotte market, any house that's under, say, 400,000 is sitting on the market for 60 days, 90 days, sitting on the market a little bit longer. And the pricing is dropping about 5% of what it was.
Yep.
And it's because that's the segment of the buyers right now. Average age is like 35 for first-time home buyers now, which is really a lot older than it used to be. But those are the people that are having trouble affording to buy the new house. If you're in the Charlotte market and you've got a house that you're trying to sell that's 800 to $2 million, no problem. A few days, it's done. It's sold. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. It's backwards from what you're typically used to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what's important is to understand what's going on in the market. So if you're in this business, you have to know people that have a real estate license that can get on MLS and pull those reports for you. Whatever market you're in, they can get right online and pull those market segments, what's selling the quickest. So as a wholesaler or a rehabber or even a new construction person, now you're going to know how big the house needs to be, where it needs to be located. You know, what is it that I need to be looking at to be able to sell it quickly? What price range should I be in?
Yeah.
They're great people to have on your team.
For sure. Well, how do you evaluate whether a deal is worth funding?
Well, first of all, if somebody can actually pay me back, that's always good. Yeah, I frown upon those who don't. But there's so many things that go into, I'll tell you exactly what it is. If the deal is a good deal for the borrower, then it's a good deal for me.
Right.
We have the same goals in mind. I tell people that, you know, when if they find a deal and they go to a hard money lender to try to get a loan and they get turned down for it, find out exactly why. Because I can tell you that I make zero if I'm not lending money.
Yeah.
I want to lend you money. I want to be able to lend you money. I don't want to say no. But if I'm saying no, there's a reason for it. Now, if you come to me for a loan and we say no, I'm going to explain exactly why. But sometimes mortgage brokers or hard money lenders will just say no and move on. But it's not necessarily the borrower. A lot of times it's the deal itself or the neighborhood that it's in, or, you know, you've got an experienced lender who has seen other people come in and do the same thing you're trying to do, knowing that it's not going to work. So they don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, if you're questioning whether or not it's a good deal, send me the numbers. I'll run them for you and let you know what I think. I'd love to do your loan, but if you don't come to me for your loan, that's fine. I'd love to see you successful and tell somebody else about me. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's nice. That just gives people some comfort to know that you were able to look at it and you agree with them. And like you said, and if not, then you're teaching them how to find a better deal for the next time.
Well, a lot of times too, I can tell you one of my most favorite mistakes that I made, and there've been plenty, we could stay here all night, is I bought a house in Charlotte. And it was in this neighborhood that is just the blue blood creme de la creme. Could not believe I got the deal on this house that I did. And everybody on the street, they were all buying these houses and knocking them down and building up these big houses.
Wow.
Well, I'm thinking, oh, I'm a little nervous about doing this now. I'm a hard money lender, remember? And I'm still nervous about getting into that kind of debt. I think I'm just going to rehab the one I bought. So I spent all this money. We rehabbed the one we bought. It looked so pretty with the rehab. I mean, even put the little individual shingles, cedar shingles on the outside in this area of it. And
that beachy look, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it was just such a beautiful little house. And I sold it, and I made, I don't know, $45,000 off of it at the time. And the guy that bought it from me knocked it down and built a big giant.
Dang.
That word for nothing.
Oh my word.
And I'm thinking to myself, you idiot. You know, you preach to people every day about what they should and shouldn't be doing. And I didn't even take my own advice.
That's
What a
funny.
dummy, right? Yeah.
You could have wholesaled it and sold it to him and not put any money into it, made even more money. Yeah.
So I'll tell you about a deal that I'm actually looking at today. I have a person, she's been on my Wednesdays with Wendy calls. She comes to Sunrisers, and she sent me this email saying, hey, she's a real estate agent. I have found this house. The people don't want to list it because their mother lives there and they don't want people coming in and looking. Do you have any buyers? What a loaded question. Do I have any buyers? So I said, yeah, let me take a look at it. And I pulled it up, and it's on this street that I know is just like, bam, this is a great neighborhood. People are are knocking the houses down, building up new ones, and the ones they are rehabbing, they're like tricking them out really nice. Like, and houses are 1947, 1948, that kind of time frame. Really, really great area. And I'm looking at this, and I really had to think, is this a house that they're trying to sell it for a little bit more than it would be a deal if you were going to knock it down and just buy the lot, because that's really what you're doing.
Right.
And so they wanted a little bit more for it than that. But as a rehab, it would make money. But it'd make this much money as a rehab, where if I could get it $40,000 cheaper, I'd just knock it down and make this much.
Right.
And people don't think that way.
Right.
They think, oh, the rehab's the easier way to go. And they don't think about all the options. In the Charlotte area, they just passed this new zoning law where you can build an ADU, an additional dwelling unit, in the back of all the houses. They're trying to really condense the population onto this house, is offer the opportunity to be able to add an ADU and sell the house with additional income.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and the houses there are selling for over 800,000 fixed up. So not just fixed up, the new builds. The new builds are $200,000 higher than if you were to just rehab it. So that's the kind of research you really need to do. And you need to be thinking about, what are some of the other options that I should consider? Here's another thing. This house is paid for. Wonder if they'd be interested in seller financing some of it. Because if they'll seller finance it for just a short term while I'm doing my thing, you know, how much can I give them to satisfy them and make them happy? Give them enough money so they can buy their next home or whatever it is they want to do. So I can short term that and then get a hard money loan for the difference, or a private money loan for the difference to be able to fix it up or knock it down and sell it.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if somebody's going to sell or finance it, I'm willing to pay more for it.
Right.
I'm not having to pay closing costs, no points. The interest rate's going to be a lot lower. You know, there's a lot more things I can do if I can convince somebody to sell or finance it.
Yeah.
And just do a little bit different type of, it's all in how you can set up the deal.
Yeah.
You got to just think outside the box.
So many investors don't, right? I come across that quite often, where I find a seller finance home and they're like, well, but I can't get funding for the rehab if I have a note here. And like, it blows my mind. Like, dude, you've got to think outside the box, right? Because
get them to subordinate the first. A lot of times the seller will go ahead and subordinate to another loan behind it. Or if you find a private money lender, it's easy to say, you know, if they normally charge like 10%, you can say, listen, I'll pay you 14% if you take this as a second position loan.
Right.
And it's worth it doing, because what you're looking at is the blended rate that you're paying. You got a really low rate on the seller finance part. And if you're the second for the rehab part is higher, you blend that together and see what that is. It's going to be a lot lower than if you were just going to get a hard money loan for the whole thing.
Yep, exactly.
Do you predominantly work and lend and then also build and buy in your specific type of area, or do you go all over the United States?
So that's a great question. So I'm very focused in the Southeast. So we're North and South Carolina, numero uno. We do Virginia, Florida, Georgia, Eastern Tennessee, and Alabama, a little bit of Alabama. So we kind of like the Southeast. We like the Southeast for a couple of reasons. Number one is it's in our backyard and we know it. And a lot of people are moving to this area. You know, and it's not really a bubble market.
Yeah.
You know, things aren't going straight up and things don't crash. We kind of stay steady. So I like it for that reason. Now, me personally, to be able to buy and sell stuff, I like being able to get to my property within 30 minutes. If I can't do that, then I'm probably not going to do it. And I say that, but I have two self-storage facilities that are, one's in Tennessee and the other one's in Missouri. But those are things that are, I know. See, I don't listen to myself. But
It's all good.
don't do as I do as I say. Is that what it is? But they're so they're a different kind of banana. They're something that can run on their own. I do have boots on the ground in both places, and I'm not going to say it's been easy, but it's way easier than if they were just a rental property that I was having to worry about.
Right.
But as far as like I do short-term rentals and midterm rentals, and the rehabs and stuff that I have, my short-term rentals, at one point I had 9 of them in downtown Rock Hill, and I could get to every one of them within 10 minutes. I could walk to most of them from my office. That's how close they were. And I really, that's a dream. That's an absolute dream. When I'm rehabbing houses, I try not to go farther than 30 minutes away. And it's not because I'm going and rehabbing them myself, but I want to be able to pop in and if I need to, do what I need to do. So I like stuff close. I know there are people that invest far away. And that scares me. It scares me to do a loan for somebody that doesn't live near the house they're rehabbing. It'll make me question whether or not I do the loan.
So are you doing all 50 states then?
No.
Okay.
No. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Northwest Florida, Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, and Alabama. And Florida, we used to go farther south in Florida, but Florida's a little sticky.
Yeah. Right.
So we're backing off. It's the other thing I love about lending money short term, because my loans are short term. And when the market starts changing, we can turn the ship pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's a short term loan. I love lending. A lot of people lend, 2 years. Ours are 6 months. A lot of people lend 2 years, 5 years. They'll do 20-year loans, which is great. But I like being able to be nimble with the loans that I'm doing.
Yeah. And do you have a re-up period? So 6 months, and then
renewal.
Renewal 6. Another
you can
3 years.
renew it for another 90 days. Yeah, we're set up that way.
Cool.
Absolutely.
How can a borrower stand out to you when they're coming to you for a loan to pitch a deal to you?
So, first of all, what stands out to me with any borrower is one that comes to me that's done their homework. Like, I hate it when I say, they say, "Oh, I want to get a loan." Great. What's the house worth? What do you think it's going to be worth fixed up? And they go, "I don't know." Or they say, "I'm not really sure." Well, that's a problem, because that's what everything's based on. That kind of drives me crazy. Or if they say, "Well, I don't know how much the rehab's going to be either." That's another very important number you need to know.
All right.
Really, really important that you need to know that. So if they don't know those two things, then I know I'm working with a brand spanking new person, and they're probably not ready for my loan yet. But I'm gonna sign them up for Wednesdays with Wendy. I'm gonna sign them up for Sunrisers. I'm gonna recommend people I know that are running meetings in the towns that they're in, and hook them up with those people so they can start going to meetings and build their network so they know how to do their homework. Because the worst thing you can do is jump into a deal and not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap. You'll learn very expensive, or you can learn very cheap.
Right.
And I'll go for cheap every time.
Great advice. Yeah. So do you guys fund 100% on purchases, or only a percentage of the ARV? You're saying 70%, right?
70% of the after repaired value. So what you're looking at for us, we'll do 90% of the purchase price, and we'll do 100% of the rehab, as long as you're at 70% or below what that after repaired value is.
Got it. Sounds great.
And that's very common. You'll see that through a lot of people do real similar stuff.
Yeah.
Right. How fast can you guys close? Like, if somebody, because some of these deals come on, the good deals come along, they go fast. And so you want to That's always been a little bit of pressure. I know people getting into
Yeah.
those deals.
2 weeks or less. Everybody should be able to close something in 2 weeks or less. Everything depends on it's two things. We get an appraisal on every deal we do. We have to have an appraisal.
Okay.
And the other thing is clear title work. So those two things, however long it takes for those two things to happen is how long it takes to close a loan. Now, and most of them, you can get an appraisal in 4 to 5 days. Title work, it depends on how quick your attorney is, but sometimes that's 4 to 5 days as well.
Yeah.
So, how quickly do you get your information into us so that we can underwrite you? We always recommend to people, I don't care who you're using, you should have more than one that you get pre-qualified with. Build your relationship with more than one company, because whatever it is that I do might be a little bit different from somebody else, and what mine will work for this deal, but it won't work for the other one, and same thing for somebody else. So you should have more than one person that you're working with, and you should always build your private lenders as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like I raised all that money going to the RIA meetings, and every meeting you go to, you have an opportunity to raise money for yourself.
Yeah.
People need to know what you're doing and that you're looking for money. And if you're not telling people that, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
I ask everybody, and it's easy for me because I've always been in the mortgage business. It doesn't bother me a bit to say, hey, how much money do you have in the bank? Do you have a self-directed IRA? How much is in there? It doesn't bother. I can't help you if you don't tell me, And so it doesn't bother me to ask. People are really weird about asking that question, but I always started off with, do you have self-directed money? I always ask that question. So what do I need to learn? I just noticed that my website is wrong. It should say Carolina. It should say Carolina Capital. No, it should say Carolina Hard Money. That's what it should say. CarolinaHardMoney.com. But what was I talking about? That was really, really important too.
Sorry.
We were talking about how you're not afraid to ask money.
That's
right.
right.
What do you got? What do you got in the bank? What do you got?
Right. That's right. So the thing that I learned first when I got into this business was how to create notes. And there's a lot of really good people out there that can teach you how to do that. Eddie Speed, Tracy and Fred Rui. There's actually tomorrow on Sunrisers, I have Nathan Turner that's going to be on there. He's a great note. There's a lot of good note people. But there's really a lot of good note people. So you need to know how to create notes. And then the other thing is you need to understand self-directed money and how it works. The more you know about self-directed IRA money, the more you know about it, the more you can teach other people about it. Because there's a lot of people that kind of have heard of self-directed IRAs, but they don't really investigate it, or they've put money in a self-directed IRA and they're too afraid to lend it out, right? Because they don't know where to put it. So when you can show someone that you understand how it works, they're much more willing to put that money in your hands. That's the key. And
it's safer for them.
And when you're borrowing somebody's money or brokering their money to somebody else, you need to protect it as if it were your mother's money.
Yeah.
You need to protect it way better than your own. And to do that, you have to understand how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, whose dog's going crazy?
That's Monique.
Monique.
Monique has oh gosh, what are they?
A couple Frenchies.
Frenchies, that's it.
No.
Oh no, what happened to Wendy?
Oh, hold on. Can you get back in?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay. We lost you.
Yeah, we have three Frenchies, and they hear noises outside and they get crazy. And I've got one with this high pitched bark that's just like, oh my goodness. She gets too excited. She's like hyper, like she's got ADD or something.
That's too funny.
So cute.
They're also different, aren't they? Just like kids.
We are. It's crazy.
They're all different. Yeah. So what like personal information do you need, or do you just go off the deal when you're doing a loan for someone?
Say that again.
Like what type of personal information would they have to bring to the table, or do you just go off of the deal? This is what the deal makes sense. And
No. So I'm going to underwrite the borrower just as stringent as I underwrite the house. And that's a great question. Because, if I'm not in the house buying business. So I want to make sure that they pay me back. I don't want their house. I'm a better lender than I am rehabber all day long. And it's a whole lot easier, in my opinion, to lend than it is to rehab a house. It's risky. That's a riskier thing to do, to be the rehabber, to be the person that's buying and fixing it up and selling it, but you're making more money that way. But if you take the hours that I put in to working as a lender and you compare it to the hours that you put into being a rehabber, my hours are this much, which means what I'm really making is way bigger. So if anybody wants to get into lending, I highly recommend it. But I also really care about the borrower and their ability to pay me back. And there's things that are really important. Number one is credit score. And that's one good thing about having a mortgage broker background too, is I know what I can and cannot get refinanced out of my loan. If for some reason the house doesn't sell and they need to get refinanced out of it, I want to make sure that they qualify to get refinanced out of it. There's some hard money lenders. Yeah, they don't care about what your credit score is or anything like that, but I do, because I want to make sure that you can get out of it.
That's a very good point.
That's a great point. Yeah.
There are asset-based lenders, and there are lenders like me who care about both the asset and the borrower. So there are lenders out there that just care about the asset. You can have a 500 credit score. They don't care.
Yeah.
Because they just want the deal.
Right.
Which means you're going to pay a higher rate. You're going to get a lower loan to value. But if that deal works for what you're doing and you've got low credit, then that's what you need to be using. That's how you're going to get ahead. So when I underwrite a borrower, the credit score I really care about. We also do a background check. And one of the things that I'm always shocked at is how many people out there have been convicted of financial fraud.
Oh, wow.
And of theft, I had one guy that had, 22 seatbelt violations. Somebody doesn't like to follow the rules. There's all kinds of stuff out there that really pedophiles. I'm not going to lend to a pedophile. It's just not, it's just not part of the character that I'm looking for in a borrower. So we look at the background. We also care about how much money somebody has in the bank when they come to us for a loan. Because a lot of them already have W-2s. Okay. Right. A lot of them have W-2s. So where are they getting the money to make my payment on top of their already mortgage payment and all the other things that they're going to be paying, or that they have to pay, car payment, all the other stuff that they need to live? Well, I want to make sure that they have money saved up in the bank to make my payments for the next 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, and you're doing interest only payments, right?
We are interest only. And I also want to make sure that they have enough money to get their contractor started, because when we release money, in fact, when anybody releases money to you, it's in arrears. You're going to have to do the work and then you get the money released to you. Now, it only takes, 36, 48 hours before you get the money, but still, a lot of times your contractor is going to want some sort of a deposit up front. We're not paying that. And work has to be completed to be able to do that.
Right.
So it's always paid in arrears. So I'm going to see 3 bank statements. I don't care where the money comes from. Like, I'm not going to be that mortgage person that says, oh, I see you have a big deposit of $40,000. Where did that come from? I'm not going to ask you that question. I don't care. I see it's in there.
Right.
So I want to see that you have money in the bank. You need to have a good credit score. For me, that's 650 or higher. That's what it's going to take to get you refinanced. And I want to see that you have a clean background check. We also ask to see the first 2 pages of your tax returns for the past 2 years. We do that because we want to see your file and your taxes. Because if you haven't filed your taxes, guess who comes in front of us
Oh yeah.
if we don't get paid? Uncle Sam's getting the house, not us. So we look at those things pretty carefully.
Nice.
If somebody has zero experience, I don't love that, but it's not going to send me away. If somebody says, "Oh, I don't really have any experience," but I've been going to the RIA meeting for the past 6 months. I'm in a group where we all get together every Friday morning and we talk about real estate or whatever it is that they're doing. Or my parents have been buying and selling houses, my whole life, or whatever it is that they can add to that makes me a lot more comfortable.
Right.
Yeah. So we're getting close to the top of the hour. I want to pivot real quickly to the Sweetheart Women in Real Estate Mastermind.
Yes.
Now, you are Miss Sweet of Sweetheart. So you are the organizer. Can you tell us a little bit about the mastermind and what ladies might expect and all those things?
Absolutely. So this is actually going to be our 1, 2, 3. It's actually our 4th mastermind. We had an original one, I don't know, it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago, kind of by accident. There were only like 15 of us at the Hart farm in Kentucky that we did our first one. But when you come to Sweetheart Mastermind, it's not just about real estate, although that's our main focus. It's an opportunity for women to get together, talk real estate, talk family, spirituality, self-care. Sometimes the self-care gets really deep. Yes. You learn some of the coolest things about other people that you would never in a million years suspect. It is, and it all stays there. It's like, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It all stays there. Everything is, and people have been really good about keeping everything to themselves. And in fact, we don't even talk about it to each other afterwards. It's really, really good. Yeah. But the what I've found, and Sharon can say this too, the when you go to this group, you meet people that will be your friends for life. Like you've gotten through so much in that 3-day event and talked so deeply and spent in individual time and just seeing every crevice of who they are, that you just become so close. And it's cool to see the ones that pair up, and really get along really well. You can just see who matches up, people that you wouldn't think. It's just really just super cool. But we talk about real estate. So we do some learning kind of things, but one of the best days there is what we call the hot seat. And it's an opportunity for each person to get up and talk about them, their life, their business, where they think they need help. And we all ask clarifying questions because we want to totally understand that what you've told us, that we're hearing what you're saying. And then everybody gets an opportunity to give, to suggest, to say, you know what, that happened to me, or I had a friend that went through that, and here's what we did to fix that. And people end up doing business together, starting businesses together. It's just really, really, it's such a deep, wonderful opportunity to get together. So what we do is we're kind of in a habit now of renting a big house on the beach that might be a 30 mansion with 30 bathrooms for each one of you. And we bring caterers in. You are waited on hand and foot from the moment you walk in that door till the moment you leave.
It's like spa weekend, girls. It's spa weekend and, sisterhood.
It is. I mean, and you won't starve. You won't be hungry for one momentum at all.
There's food everywhere.
There's food everywhere, and it's good food. there's good swag. You know, we have great jackets, and I mean, it's just.
We got a yoga mat last year. I
That's
use
right.
it all the time.
It's really, really cool. So we have that this year. We've rented a house for 2 weeks in length. We have two separate masterminds.
Okay.
So we've got, I think it's September 28th. We'll have to pull it up. It's at sweetheartmastermind.com under the events. All the dates are there. But we're doing 3 sweetheart days of the mastermind, but we also have an extra play day too that we've added on to it. So we have a group in the front that's going to be about 25 people, another 25 people at the back end of those 2 weeks, and in the middle of those 2 weeks this year we're doing a lending institute because Mary and I both are lenders, and this is so many people are interested in learning about lending, whether you want to scale it up to a big business or whether you just want to lend your own money or whether you want to broker other people's money. There's so many different ways to get into lending. And our goal is to teach the total ABCs, the complete nuts and bolts. Here's how you get started. Here's the documents you're going to use. Here's how you underwrite, whether you're underwriting the person or the deal. We want to exact processes of what you need to do if you want to be a lender. Now that group is right in the middle. It's 4 days, and we're allowing men to join that. So if we have to let them in.
You go to the ladies' weekend, and then Jim can come in with you, come join you.
So we figured that there's husbands and wives that might want to show up, let their husbands in and or partners in. So we're letting men in on those, and that one actually is almost full already. So we've got a lot of people coming to that, but it's just it's so much fun. It really is so much fun. We're really looking forward to doing it again in October.
That one's October. Looks like October 2nd through the 6th.
Thank you.
And then the other 2 with the women only is the first one will be September 28th through October 2. And then the second one is October 6th through October 10th.
That sounds good. That's it. You're right. Thank you very much.
Wow. That's going to be some business.
What is Sunrisers?
Okay. So every Friday morning, we have a group of believers who happen to do real estate. We meet at 7:30 in the morning on Zoom. We do a 30-minute devotional. We do a 15-minute market update, and then we bring somebody in to talk about real estate. So it's from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. It's on Zoom. We'll have easily 120 people on there every Friday, and you never know what you're going to get, but I promise you'll love it. It's just a great.
Market update is great.
It is incredible.
It is great.
And what's so cool about it too is there's a lot of real estate gurus that come every Friday.
Yeah.
So, and it's like the easiest thing in the world for me to run because all I have to do is ask like one question, and then all this brain power comes in, and I just sit back and watch it. Yeah. it's wonderful. And it's there's such a variety of what we talk about too, as far as real estate is concerned, and it's nationwide. So you're really getting a good feel of what's happening across the country.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this group since 2002.
Wow.
So it's been going. It started out as a breakfast meeting in Charlotte, and COVID caused us to go online. So, thank you, God, because now there are people from all over the country. We have a guy from Tanzania that shows up, another one from Ghana that shows up.
Wow.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
So how do you sign up for that Zoom again?
It is, I knew you were going to say that. So if you email, if you email Wendy at chmlending.net, I'll get you signed up.
Okay.
Oh, and you can see all of them. Look, see down there at the bottom. I don't know if y'all can see, but it says youtube.com/@sunrisers. That's where all the recordings are from all the ones that we've been recording since we started recorded years ago.
Got it. That's awesome.
Yep. And it is live on YouTube as well, but you want to be in the Zoom because the chat is live in the Zoom.
Yes, yes, and you get to talk.
And let me tell you, I started going to Sunrisers maybe about a year and a half ago, and the people that go, you would be blown out of your mind. The number of top level people in real estate across the nation that are in Sunrisers every Friday, and you get to chat with them, and it's just so great. That's meeting,
and they're all so giving. Like any one of them, you can reach out and say, "Hey, I go to Sunrises," and they'll sit and talk to you forever.
I don't know if Monique or Donda know who Tom Kroll is, but Tom is like the coach of the coaches, right?
He is. Yes.
He taught Pace. He taught Jamil. He taught like all these big name gurus.
Yeah.
Right. I have been on the phone with him at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Right. Because I attend Sunrisers and he goes to Sunrisers, and it's just amazing. It's wonderful.
What was his last name?
Kroll. Kroll.
Yep.
No, one L.
Heard the name.
I have seen that name. I don't know if I've listened to him.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And he's a go-giver too. Like he's so generous with his time, with his whatever, with his I think I'm going to be attending his mastermind coming up, so we'll see.
It'd be worth it. He really is such a good
he's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, we are way past the hour. So it always goes so fast.
That was great. Such a great.
Thank you for coming on, Wendy. We're
Thank
so
you.
glad that you came on.
Thank you, Wendy.
And we're going to
Thank
say
you so
goodbye
much.
to our audience. Goodbye. See you later.
Bye. See you next Thursday.
Well, I like the outro. That's cute.